Rojas with the Chatham News and Record, and John Berry, Coach John Berry. Agenda for today's Chatham NC Sports Roundup. We're going to tackle high school wrestling. That started a couple weeks ago. Several high school teams have played already. Then we're going to get into the big one, the high school basketball roundup. And as usual, we'll finish up with Asheebo's stories that came out in the Chatham News and Record yesterday. Came out a day early. We'll talk about his athlete of the week, and we'll also find out where Asheebo's what sports events he will be covering here in the county next week. So let me bring everybody aboard, and let's start off with wrestling. Asheebo, I think was it Seaforth started off last week or a couple weeks ago, and they've been pretty successful. So why don't you go into that?
Yeah, so they got off to a good start last week. Yep, beating Willow Springs 70-6 and Wakefield 47-34 at its own tri meet last week. And then they won the crib dual tournament over the weekend. They went 4-0 in their dual matches, and they beat Bunn 48-47 in the finals. And that was the program's first ever wrestling tournament win. So congrats to the C4 program for reaching that milestone. And then also Northwood last week they went 1-3 at the Chapel Hill Kickoff Quad, and they beat Chapel Hill but lost to Green Hope and Eastern Guilford. So they're hoping for a better week this week. I think they wrestled yesterday. You got that, Gene, right?
Yeah, they went ahead and they wrestled. They wrestled at home yesterday. They wrestled against Southern Lee, beat Southern Lee. I think it was again. Yeah, it was. I believe it was like 50-27, and then they beat. And they also beat Eastern Alamance, and that was about 50-27. They were pretty strong in that contest. The thing too that came up, and I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to show a picture. One of the things that came up yesterday, what you're looking at here, folks, is you're seeing a picture of the Northwood wrestling team, and in that middle of the team picture, you see a gentleman wearing a black Northwood Wrestling T-shirt. That is Joe Harris. He was the former wrestling coach for the team for the last couple of years. Had to drop out because he has had a rare form of cancer, and he had been under treatment. And yesterday, the athletic director Cameron Vernon was able to introduce him to the folks in at the gym and let him know that he has completed his cancer treatment and he is cancer free. So this picture is a picture that we took of all the wrestlers because again, he was one of their favorite coaches. The team is under a new coach this year, and then also some of you may know Joe has gotten married as well in that time. So I just wanted to pop that up. I think also next week, let me take that picture off. Uh, we will have Northwood going to C4 to wrestle. I believe it's Wednesday night. Again, folks, it's Thanksgiving week, so things are a little bit rattled, but I plan to be there and take pictures of that. It should be good competition. Both teams have certain good wrestlers in certain weight classes, but I think we'll have more information as that proceeds. Asheebo, you got anything else on wrestling?
No, I think that's all I've got from wrestling.
All right. And well, in that case, I think we're ready to jump into basketball. So, Asheebo, I'll let you start off on that. Coach Barry's going to join in because I know both of you have been to several games, and there's also going to be more games coming up as well. So, Asheebo, why don't you kick it off on what's going on in high school basketball here in Chatham County?
Yeah, so we can start with the boys side, and the start having some of the other schools start playing this week. We had Jordan Matthews starting on Friday, Seaforth on Monday. So get into it. Of course, we can start with Chatham Charter, who has been playing already. They were I want to say they were 4-0 before Friday, and they lost Friday night to Providence Grove 48-46 in a close one. And then they also lost Monday night or Tuesday night this week to Voyager 81-40 in a blowout. So I know Jonah Ridgel has been good for them this year, but those last two losses, kind of uncharacteristic of Chatham Charter of the past. But I know Coach Messier, he knows that this team is a different team. He's told me it's a different team with new players, new faces. So they're still trying to put it together and get that thing going. But that's what Chatham Charter. That's where they stand right now, 4-2. And then Jordan Matthews, we saw them play. Me and Coach Barry sat in the stands Friday night. Saw them play River Mill. They handled a team that likes to shoot threes very well, even though they made I think 7 threes in that game. They didn't let it be too much on him. And of course, Brendan Oldham, the transfer from Chatham Charter, gave Jordan Matthews so many options on offense. The coach, you saw it. They got it to him in the post, and Coach Wiley said it. He's a guy that likes to pass. So when he gets it there, he's either looking to pass to his open teammates because the defenders are coming to him, or if they're not, he's going to go to the hole and get a basket, get fouled, get to the free throw line. So Jordan Matthews had a great start. They looked a lot different from last year. And Coach Bear, if you want to add to that on Jordan Matthews, go ahead.
Yes, I think Jordan Matthews this year is going to surprise a lot of people. Last year, it was more of a rebuild type situation for him. A lot of their players were hurt, they were injured, they were a little bit down. This year, they have some legitimate players led by the transfer Brennan Oldham, number 15. He's right in the middle. He can post. He can make that mid range. He feeds everybody else around him. So he's going to be the anchor. Then you have those guards around him, those skilled players. So if you double team Oldham, then he's going to kick out to those other guys. They can shoot the three. They can drive the ball. Uh, Keep your eye out for Jordan Matthews. I definitely believe that they are going to surprise some people, especially if you think it's the same exact team as it was last year. Super proud of what Coach Rodney Wiley is doing with that unit, along with his assistant coaches. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and I can't wait to see what the season holds for them. As Asheebo mentioned, they did overcome Rivermill. It was a great game. The atmosphere was rabid, and I can just imagine when they play other Chatham County schools, whether it's Northwood, whether it's Seaford, whether it's Chatham Central, whether it's Chatham Charter. Man, that atmosphere and that gym is going to be electric. So if you haven't yet been over to Rivermill, I'm not sorry, Rivermill. If you haven't been over to Jordan Matthews yet to watch their home game, man, you'll be in for a treat. So great job, Jordan Matthews. Second thing I want to point out is the girls Jordan Matthews team. Again, this is another thing that again they're going to open some eyes. I mean, with Coach Lamont Piggy, he's doing a great job with those girls. Led by Leah Carter. She's coming in throwing up threes. The floor general, just mature senior, and they have that freshman Jada Scott. She's about 6'1", 6'2". She's going to make some noise this year, plus the future years. A quick story about Jada is about 5-6 years ago, her and her brother used to always come to our camps at Youth Hoops basketball camps. Very good relationship with the mother. Super proud to see her daughter blossom into the human being that she's been. Her basketball game keeps picking up, and I look forward to seeing what's going to go on with that particular group as well. But Jordan Matthews' girls basketball team, they're also going to surprise some people as well. They are much better than they were last year. It's a very young group. And I think within the next 2 to 3 years, you know what, we may be talking some other stuff about this group. The next group here that I want to kind of touch bases on is Seaforth. Let's start it with the Seaford girls. Me and Asheebo, we had the pleasure of seeing Seaford play the other day against St. Paul Bulldogs. Now, St. Paul, even though the game, I'm talking about the boys for now. Even though the score was lopsided, I believe Seaford ended up winning 73-47. St. Paul's is actually a good team. Last year, Last year, they went three deep into the state playoffs. They ended up losing. This year, they have a 6'8" kid. I believe he's one of the top rated kids in the state. And Seaford was able to bottle this guy up, get him into foul trouble. He ended up on the bench a great deal of the game. And ultimately, with Seaford's approach to playing this year, it was just too much for St. Paul's. I'll say this about Seaford. If you are not ready to deal with pressure and if you're not in shape, I think for a lot of these teams that play Seaforth, it's going to be a long day at the office. And my gut feeling here is ever since Jaron Stevenson left the team and he reclassed and went over to University of Alabama, some people may be sleeping on Seaforth this year. But I'm telling you, if you're not prepared to deal with pressure, full court defense, and just a rapid pace, and you can't finish layups and you can't make free throws, Seaford is going to have a very, very successful year, and you'll remember that game. So super proud of Seaford. I think what they got going on right now is uh, is definitely going to surprise some people. And they right now they certainly making the community super duper proud. By the way, I just want to make a couple quick shout outs. I think Nate Emerson, one of the reserves from Seaford, he's doing a fantastic job coming off the bench, giving the team energy, giving them a spark. His energy, his excitement, is just infectious. He comes out, man. He just wants the ball. He's willing to throw his body out in front of other people. Super proud of this kid. Keep doing what you're doing, Nate. The other guy too that you really don't see that I think is doing a really really great job is Noah Lewis. Noah Noah, in particular, is the floor general. He's the point guard for the Seaford Hawks, Seaford Seahawks, and he's the point guard. He settled the team down on offense. He's getting the ball where it needs to be. Doesn't have many turnovers, and defensively, he's solid. So Noah Lewis is, in my opinion, one of the key cogs to what Seaford got going on this year. And then the last thing I want to point out is the girls' Seaforth basketball team. This is a well-oiled machine. This is
Hey, wait. Are you going to the girls right now?
yeah.
Yeah, let's finish up on the boys. Asheebo, what were your feelings? Because I think you and I talked during halftime. They also Seaforth and is playing like they're switching out 5 players at a time. So why don't you give us your impression of that game, and then we'll talk about the girls.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I asked Coach Ranelli about that, about his five. He was doing 5 in, 5 out. It was, I think, only twice or 3 times during the game where he'll bring one player in for another player. So he likes to keep fresh bodies in there. But asked him about it. He said he it's the depth of his team is why he does it. He has so many guys, like you said, Coach Barry. He's got Noah. He's got Nate, the transfer from Southern Lee. He's got Cooper, of course, the guys that's been there, and Locke coming in, the big man down low. I mean, there's so many guys that they can use that can score that are that fit really well into Coach Ranelli's system with the press up front on defense. Also, they're really active on the defensive end and the half court as well. So I think he just really they have a really deep team, and that's the scary thing about Seaforth is it might be a case of you never know who could go off each night. Like you said, Nate Emerson actually led all scorers and he came off the bench. So it's just it's really good that they have players that they can look to any night. It seems like what I'm saying. With Tashon also had a good night as well, and other guys that may do some things that might not show up in the stat sheet. So they look really hungry. Like I know over the offseason, they really wanted to prove, hey, we can do this without the Gatorade Player of the Year. We can do this without Jared Stevenson. So it'll be really interesting to see how they do this against other teams in the county, like Northwood, Jordan Matthews, Chatham Central, and of course other teams in their non-conference schedule. And it'll be really interesting to see how they, pair up against that other competition.
You have anything else to add to that, Coach Barry?
Yes, and to Asheebo's point, the 5 in, 5 out system. This reminds me of a set or system that I actually ran over at Woods Charter. In fact, I remember coaching Gene Galin's son, not Mike, but Nick Galin. And what we did was we had this run and gun, run and shoot type style offense where we would press full court. We would run and jump. We would just try to create chaos, force the other team to play fast. If they make the shot, that's fine. We pull it out the net, throw the ball in, run the ball up the court, and then we take the first available shot. We make the shot, make them take the ball out. We start pressing, and eventually, over time, over the course of the game, the whole idea was to wear the other team down. And when they start wearing down, as they say, fatigue makes cowards of us all. They start turning the ball over. We start getting some easy baskets. And because we play this way every single day in practice and every game, innately, Seaford is going to have the advantage because they're used to playing this style. When teams have to play Seaford, they have to game plan for Seaford just that one time. Whereas though Seaford is doing this each and every day, so they're used to it. They're in shape. They bred for it. They built for it. And they start getting a feel for what other teams like to try to do. And they can start bleeding towards those actions and start getting those turnovers and steals and run-outs, et cetera. And that's exactly what Seaford is doing. It is great when it runs the way it needs to run. And as you said, Asheebo, it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out against some of the other Chatham County schools as well as teams in the conference.
Okay, question for both of you. Is there a downside to doing the 5 in, 5 out? When doesn't it work, or what can teams do against that when they're playing against C4?
You want me to get that first,
Asheebo?
Sheba? You want to take it?
Well, I was just saying, for me, when I think of the 5 in, 5 out, I know it's kind of hard to take some guys out that might be going in a groove in the game. That they're doing pretty well, and then you take them out. That might be a player or a spark that you're missing with the next unit. So I think Coach Ranelli saw that a couple times during the game, right, when he had some foul trouble, had some guys get 3 or 4 fouls, and he had to pull them out for a second. I think that might be the one thing that pulls him off of that system just a little bit. And also too, when you have guys that's in the groove, that's making shots, playing well defensively, playing well offensively. Of course, you don't want to take those guys off the court. When they're making winning plays, that's helping you keep the lead and get the lead. So that's the only thing I see from right now that might be an issue with the 5 in, 5 out.
Coach Barry? Coach Barry?
If you look at it from a coaching standpoint, if you're not careful, the drawback is once they get past that front line of the 1-2-1-1 press, it's going to be a 3-on-2 fast break on the back end. And what ends up happening is the other team has many high percentage opportunities such that if they capitalize on it, they're going to run up the score. That's number one. Number two, I think this style lends itself to potentially fouling a lot. This is one of the reasons why the 5 in, 5 out can work, because not one person, the fouls can be spread out amongst a bunch of people. But you can end up fouling a lot because the game is an open court. You're constantly chasing people, trying to stop, and you fight for loose balls. You start fouling. And with the new rule now, with the 5 fouls in one period, it's an automatic 2 free throws. The other thing is this: if the other team is making their free throws, and they capitalizing on that, then it can also backfire that way. I think ultimately what it comes down to is it just depends on your philosophy, right? It depends on what your thesis is in terms of how to try to win a game. Me personally, I like to play defense. I like to stop people. I like to be very orderly, very structured, very controlled, and I like to methodically walk teams down. But if you don't have the horses or you have a different philosophy, right, what you can do is you can do it another way. You can go and create this chaos, and you can create this run and jump type style, create this up tempo type game, and then you can essentially wear the other team down with bodies, with being in shape, with hustle, with effort, with energy. And over the long term of the game, then you end up on top. And I think ultimately that's exactly what's going on right here.
All right. Now we can dig into the girls' side.
Well, we did.
I was.
One second. I was
Go
about to
ahead,
say we
Asheebo.
can mention some of the other schools from the boys' side that played too. Chatham Central also played last night. They won their first game against Cedar Ridge, 68-45. Didn't get the stats for that one, so I can't give you the breakdown of who was leading the score and who did well. But Coach Barry, like you said, Chatham Central, another one of those teams that people will probably sleep on, but will probably do pretty well as the season goes on. And then Woods Charter. I think Woods Charter did not play again since last Wednesday, I think. So we already talked about Woods Charter. So I also wanted to share power rankings as of today. They're not the official power rankings in the paper, but this is just how I rank all the Chatham Charter boys teams. The Chatham County boys teams here before as the season gets started here. So I wrote it down. Of course, number one, I still got Northwood up there as the best team, even though we won't see them until December 5th. I think we already talked about what they have going on. They're a really deep team, really hungry, and of course they have Drake Powell to anchor it all down. And then two, I got C4 sliding in at the 2 spot. I think I really like what I saw from them Monday night. And like you said, they're a really scary team with the fast pace, and their conditioning. They're really conditioned, and they got guys that can hurt you from all over the place, from down low on the perimeter and things like that. And then number 3, I got Jordan Matthews. Number 4, Chatham Central. Number 5, Chatham Charter. Number 6, Woods Charter. And I would say for me, those two to 4 with C4, Jordan Matthews, and Chatham Central are really close to me. I would know where to put them because I know we haven't seen too much of Chatham Central. We haven't seen too much of Jordan Matthews as of late. And Jordan Matthews, of course, took the loss. I think on Monday to Southern Lee. It was a blowout loss. But even from there, even from my view on Friday night, they still like one of the best teams in the county. So What do you think, Coach Barry?
Well, I think everybody has to pick Northwood as the top slot. Until somebody beats them, then we have to keep them at that number one slot. This is a team over the last 3-4 years have been perennially deep into the state playoffs. I don't think they've lost a conference game at the 3A level, let alone coming down to the 2A level. So until somebody beats Northwood, they are the clear number one. I think the biggest surprise for a lot of people at this point now, yeah, I mentioned Jordan Matthews, but I think it's got to be the Seaford Hawks because, I think with Jaron leaving the program last year and coming into this year without him and the other players having to make up for all the things that he did, for them to come in with the pressure packed play that they exhibit and putting up 70 points against St. Paul in that first game against a team that went three deep in the state playoff last year, you gotta look at Seaford and take them extremely serious. And I'm telling you, the kind of style that they play, if you're not careful, they can cause problems for pretty much any team in the county as well as the conference as well as any team in the state. So I'm going to keep my eye on Seaforth. I think right now, based on what I saw, I would have to agree with you on that one, Asheebo. They would definitely be at that 2 spot until I see Jordan Matthews deal with that pressure, even Chatham Central as well as Chatham Charter. Then you kind of have to put them there. I think they surprise us a lot of people right now. As far as that 3, 4 spot, again, I need to see Chatham Central a little bit more. I saw Jordan Matthews, super impressed with what they did. I think that's a toss-up, like you said, between those two. And then as far as Chatham Charter, I know they lost a couple of guys. They lost Amir. They lost Brennan Oldham. I haven't seen the new thing that Coach Messier has up his sleeve right now. So I'm going to kind of hold out on that. And I think Woods would be slighted as that last one. They're a younger team, smaller school. They still trying to figure some things out. So generally speaking, I agree with you. The only issue that I would have, and I don't know exactly who I would put between that Jordan Matthews, Chatham Central, and the whole thing with Chatham Charter, haven't really seen them. Yes, I'm going to withhold my opinion on them. Can't hear you, Gene.
Yeah, I have to hit the unmute button. I think at this point now we're ready to talk about girls basketball. So Asheebo, kick it off.
Yeah, so girls basketball. I'm gonna start with, of course, probably the best girls basketball team. Well, one of the best teams in the county is Chatham Charter down at the Chatham. The Charter school level in 1A. Coach Patterson has got them rolling 5-0 as of before yesterday. I'm not sure what the score of their game was yesterday. I know they played. Forgot who they played, but they did play yesterday, and they won over Voyager. I think. No, I think they played Voyager last night. But yeah, 5-0 before that game. Mia Brooks, she's doing very well for them. I think 24 points in the game I went to on Friday against Providence Grove, and that one she scored 17 in the first half. And Gene, if you don't mind, I'm already going to tell everyone that she's my athlete of the week this week because of her performance that night. She just every time she got on the court, they got to her in the post. She's very good at finishing in the post as well. She finished buckets up there, and then when she got the ball at the top of the key, she was facilitating for them, doing a little bit of everything, and also getting some steals on the defensive end. So shout out to Mia Brooks on the great game and a great week as well. She had another good game prior to that one. I think she had 10 and I think 7 rebounds in the game before that. But yeah, and they also have a great freshman in Hannah Heaton. I hope I'm saying that right, Hannah. I'm sorry if I'm not, but she had 12 points on Friday as well to go along with Mia's 24. So definitely another team that has some a really good player with a great supporting cast around her, especially the freshman in Hannah and some other great shooters as well for Chatham Charter. So shout out to Coach Patterson on continuing with a great start to the season. And then going on to Seaforth, now me and Coach Barry was watching them again on Monday night, and that one was really Gabby White exploded for 26 points. That was tying her career high at Seaforth, and also had 15 rebounds, so go along with, I think, 7 assists. 5 assists and 2 steals. But the thing was about Seaforth is it just wasn't her, though. As well as she played, there were some other people that got involved, like Katie Leonard. She had 11. Peyton Collins had 10. they just really played together. Coach Barry, you've been with them. They played like a team that's established. They're ready to go. Coach Bird's really got them locked in, especially defensively, and we let them switch it up a little bit in the press and in the half court. We saw them in 2-3, and then they switched it up a little bit. So really, they're playing really sound basketball to start the season. What do you think, Coach Barry?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of basketball games that I did catch this week relative to the girls' varsity. It starts off with I'll start off with Asheebo. I'll continue with Asheebo. Asheebo left off at with Seaforth. It's a well-oiled machine. Coach Charles Bird over at the Seaforth varsity women's basketball program has those girls rolling on all cylinders. Led by Gabby Wright. You have Katie Leonard. You have Peyton Collins. You have Hannah Adaji. You also have Jocelyn Gessner. They're coming in. They're bought into the whole team concept. Everything that they do, they try to play together as a unit, as a string, because as my great friend Chad Haddix always says, it's better to play with a fist than with an open hand. So when they play these teams, not only are they dealing with two like superstar type players in Gabby Wright and Katie Leonard, they also are dealing with a system, right? A process that is very difficult to beat in and of itself. And when you have great players implementing this system, they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat. And as Asheebo had mentioned a second ago, one of the reasons why they're going to be dangerous is because they do lots of things well. They can beat you in many different ways. They can beat you fast. They can beat you slow. They can beat you technical. They can make it ugly. They can play physical. They have all these different paths to being successful. And when you factor in the players are like the core of this team has been together for 3 years, as well as this particular group went all the way to the state championship game, which they very well could have won had the ball bounced their way. This is going to be a very, very difficult team to win. To beat. I just think that moving forward, as long as these girls focus in and do what they're supposed to do, listen to the coaches and buy in as a unit and don't ever get caught up in this individual thing, they're definitely the team to beat. The second thing I'm going to mention here is the Jordan Matthew girls. As I was talking about briefly a second ago, this team is also vastly improved, led by Leah Carter. They also have a great new freshman that came in, Jada Scott. I remember back 5, 6, 7 years ago, she came to many of our camps, and I remember working with her when she was like this big. Now she's this big, looked very mature, and they really are grooming her to be the face of the team moving into the next coming years. I saw them working with the post moves, and I see her taking on that responsibility to play defense. I'm looking forward to seeing this group blossom this year as well as the years moving forward. The game that I did see them play, they did beat Rivermill by the score of 47-25. I know Leah Carter hit several threes. They have a nice point guard as well. Super impressed with what Coach Lamont Piggy got going on with that group, and I wish those guys all the luck.
Yeah, like you said, they got the freshman in Jada Scott. They also have Yamalet Lozano. She also had 16, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, I think, in their win over Rivermill as well. So they really have a really dynamic group of scorers and some big players down in the post. Really versatile team. And I think, like you said, the turnaround is real down there at Jordan Matthews for the boys and girls side. They're both coming in a little different this year. Also, the only thing about Jordan Matthews is I would like to see them do it against some better competition down the road, and we'll talk about that when I go through the power rankings for the girls' side. But also I did not get a score for Chatham Central's game last night. That was their season opener, so I can't say too much on the Bears down there at Chatham Central. Coach Albright, Woods Charter, we already talked about them last week. They have not played again yet this week. And Northwood was a team also was looking at. They played at Jordan up here in Durham last night. They won 39-32, so it was a close one in that one. So I did not get the stats for that one. Can't give you the breakdown as well. I know it's Thanksgiving. A lot of coaches trying to go home, players going home and things like that. But Yeah, they win their first game. I know we're looking forward to Northwood because they got Skylar Adams and Talia Whitaker. That team is supposed to be right there with Seaforth in the Mid Carolina 1A 2A conference there. But as you can see, there's a lot of good teams in the girls' side this year, especially in that conference. So when I look at my power rankings for the girls' side, I got Seaforth at number one, of course, and then I debated 2 through 4 again because this one was a lot harder than the boys. But because we haven't seen too much of Northwood and we've seen a lot of Chatham Charter, I got Chatham Charter at number 2. Coach Patterson, like I said, he got them rolling. They're playing really good basketball. And I got Northwood coming in at 3. And then at 4, I got Jordan Matthews. Like I said, just want to see them. They're playing really well. And shout out to Coach Piggy. Just want to see them against some better competition in the coming weeks as well. And then I got Chatham Central at 5 and Woods Charter at 6. What you think, Coach Berry?
As far as the power rankings, again, I think Seaford is the obvious number one. Until somebody beats them, then I'm going to be convinced that right now they're certainly number one. Again, you have the core group that's there. They play together, well-oiled machine. I know how hard they work personally, and they certainly my number one. The number 2 slot, again, without seeing any of these teams play intimately this year, I've researched it. I've looked at their roster. I saw what they did last year. Just looking at that, my slight disagreement here would be um, given that Northwood, again, was a 3A school last year, made the states. I believe they went too deep in the states. They have Skylar Adams. They have Natalia Whitaker. Again, both of them was on that championship team. And Skylar Adams in particular, yeah, in particular was the defensive stopper 2 3 years ago. I think that if they matched up against another team that's not used to dealing with that level of competition, because they within a smaller like conference, I tend to give them the edge. In fact, I would go as far as to say that's the one team that may be able to match up with Seaforth. And the reason I say that is because Scholar and Gabby White have grown. They've come up together. They played with each other. They understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. They have. I'm not going to say has a similar skill set, but Skylar Adams is used to, playing girls at the caliber of Gabby White. So that's going to be an interesting matchup that I can't wait to see unfold. If you look at Natalia Whitaker, again, she was on that championship team. And although she didn't play much, when she got into the game, she delivered. I mean, she was not afraid at all. I mean, she was coming in like, hey, let's get it in. Plus, I know her dad, the great coach, Coach Whitaker, I know he's been working with her just like he worked with his son, just like he's working with his other daughter over at Pollard. They're going to be ready to go. And the reason why I'm really on this is because this past summer, I was over at Pollard to look at one of the workouts that the Pollard girls team was having with Coach Whitaker. And I saw what he was doing. And I talked to him about this whole thing with Northwood. And he seemed to be very, very optimistic. So my number 2 is going to be probably Northwood as opposed to Chatham Charter. Not taking anything away from Chatham Charter, because I love Coach Patterson. Know him. We go way back. He's doing a fantastic job with the Chatham Charter girls. And, I think this, just like last year, the sky is the limit for this particular group. But it comes down to this. Until that team plays Northwood and beats them, then that's when we'll go ahead and edge them above that. But until then, I'm going to keep them slotted at that 3 spot. As far as the 4th spot, I would go with Jordan Matthews as well. I think Chatham Central. I need to see them a little bit. I know they have a new coach, got new systems, or what have you. I would like to see them, so I'm going to put them at 5. And then as far as Woods Charter, you know what? Just based off of some of the things that I've been seeing, that may be the appropriate spot, but I'm going to reserve that until I see them play this year.
Yeah, Woods Charter. I think they've only played 3 games, so they still got plenty of games to go. Of course, these are just power rankings just as of today. So, the official ones for the first official ones for basketball in the paper will come out next week once we've seen every team play and get their season started. So, yeah,
Right.
that's I think wrap on basketball. Oh, go
So
ahead.
let me ask you a question, Asheebo. So when you selected Chatham Charter at 2 and Northwood at 3,
Mhm.
uh, what was your main what was your thinking on that one? Just curious.
Well, yeah, I understand. Like Northwood, I could definitely see how they're number two. I just did that. I put them at Chatham Charter at 2 just because they played I think 6 games to this point. And looking through their stats, I mean, I think when I was in the paper I wrote it, I think Hannah and Mia have scored double digits in I think 4 of those 5 games. So they really have some great production from Mia Brooks and Hannah, and that's a first, and she's a freshman. I think they just have a really good core and a really good supporting cast around them. They played really well against Providence Grove when I seen them. I mean, it was just wire to wire. Like, I don't think Providence Grove came within 15 and 13 in that game. So yeah, they're really good. I think they're definitely going to dominate the Central Tar Heel 1A
Oh, no
conference.
question. No
No
question
question.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just put them at 2 just because the difference in the amount of playing. I haven't seen Northwood at all this year. And they got into a close one last night at Jordan. So, and I'm sure Northwood they'll take care of some teams down the road as well and do really well in the conference. So, looking forward to them as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's funny you gentlemen bring this up because I said we're going to get in trouble with this power rankings, but here we got the two of you not even agreeing, and I know there's a bunch of folks out there watching that won't be agreeing anyway. But look, this is a fun conversation. We're getting to that point where we do need to get this wrapped up. So, Shibo, you mentioned who your player of the week is. What other stories do you have in the Chatham News and Record this week?
Yeah, so nothing too heavy this week. We got the 2 game stories from Jordan Matthews boys and Chatham Charter girls. Those are kind of the 2 games I selected to go to and write up on. And then we got something small on Jordan Matthews football team. Coach Johnson had himself and 3 of his players, including his son Jaden Johnson, out there at the school handing out free Thanksgiving meals over the weekend. It was a great event. They handed out 75 boxes through a partnership with Monterey Farms right down the road from them. So shout out to Coach Johnson. He's really adamant on giving back to the community and making sure that his kids, um, you know, have that same feeling and same sentiment as well for their community. So great things happening at Jordan Matthews. And yeah, and then the winter sports roundup with basketball, swimming, indoor track, and wrestling results from the week will be in there too. So check those out. We had plenty of Chatham County event winners in the swimming meet last week with I think Jordan Matthews, Seaforth, and Chatham Central was there. So great things happening across the county as the winter season gets started. And yeah, that's all I got in the paper this week.
Yeah, I think we're going to have more swimming and more track and field because I think there's actually an event going on Saturday. Folks, we got to apologize. It's the beginning of the season. Some of you that know this, I'm a believer in the Scrum method, which is, hey, we're going to work on improving this every week. And I appreciate the folks watching the basketball broadcast that these gentlemen led was our top viewed live stream, and we hope to continue to grow the audiences. Okay, let's go through who's going to be where this coming week. Asheebo, where are you going to be this next 7 days?
I'm not really sure. I know I was looking at the basketball schedules for next week. It's a lot of out of conference games going on. So just picking. I'm thinking about checking out. I do want to check out Chatham Central boys and girls definitely next week. See get a little more get more of a taste of what they got going on down in Chatham Central. I know, like Coach Barry said, that's one of those teams to look out for on the boys' side and on the girls' side. Just want to see how they're adjusting with Coach Adrian Albright down there, who's like we said at Basketball Media Day. She's instilling all that confidence in their team, and they're coming in feeling like they're pretty good this year, and they have what it takes to win. So definitely want to go out and check out Chatham Central this week.
All right, Coach Barry, where are you going to be this coming 7 days?
This Friday, I'm going to Southeast Raleigh to check out the Seaford girls team play. It's going to be a pretty good game. It's a 4A school. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge for the guys, and I know they're looking forward to that game. So that's going to happen on Friday, and then next week I'm going to either check out Chatham Central or if I can catch the Northwood girls varsity team. I want to see those. I need to see those 2 teams play so I can have some more information to bring to the audience.
All right, and I will be on Tuesday. I will be at the uh, Northwood girls basketball game, taking pictures. And Wednesday we've got at Seaforth for wrestling. So that's my game plan for that. Gentlemen, anything else to say before we close down here?
I don't know. Just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, Mr. Derek. I see you in the chat. Salute to you for watching and commenting. Thank you for that. And everybody else watching, happy Thanksgiving. And hope everyone has a great weekend. Be safe and have a great holiday.
Coach Barry?
Just a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. As I tell my campers at youth hoops, number one, tell your parents and your grandparents you love them. Number two, give them a hug. But the most important thing you must do every single day, give them a sloppy, juicy kiss where the saliva falls down on the side. And if you do that, guess what? You'll be my hero. Happy Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
everybody.
you're just gonna need a napkin for that. The other thing I want to say is I am taking pictures and doing videos, and Coach Barry, when he's out there with me, is doing commentary. He was out there with me for the Seaforth game. I apologize, we had technical issues, but I think we got those fixed, so we will be back on board with that. So Asheebo, let me do this because. Actually, the other thing we found out at the Seaforth game, and I think Coach Barry, you and I and Asheebo all had this happen, is we had folks come up and thank us for doing this. And I know you two especially enjoy doing it. And I enjoy bringing this to the folks in the community. I don't think there's anything else quite like this in the community right now. So, gentlemen, thank you for that. And Asheebo, there's his Twitter account, AsheeboR38. And with that, folks, I think we are going to finish it up today. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And hold on while I end the stream.